You are a maid for a rich family in Victorian era London, Britain. Doilies and scallywags abound. A knock at the door of your master's mansion alerts you to a visitor. You answer. He's a tall gentleman, clothed clearly from money, but still he's strangely dressed, wearing a black riding helmet and black cloak to match, and underneath that, a tight-fitting white garment, perhaps an oilskin of the type the sailors wear. You notice his hands are clawed, maybe arthritis, but what's this? Nails so long, are they steel tipped? Then you see his eyes, balls of angry red flame. He attacks you, right at the doorway, stealing your virtues and senses. You scream. People come. He bounds away with a single jump 9 feet into the air, a metallic spring. With each leap, he belches blue-white flame at your saviors, and jumping away over a carriage as if it was nothing. You have just met Spring-Heeled Jack. So that is actually based on or inspired by the story of the legend of Spring-Heeled Jack. And this fits in the category of like cryptids, phantom attackers, and mass hysteria / hoaxes. And I'll go over those a little bit individually. So the cryptid thing would basically be that this guy running around Victorian era England legit was like some type of monster or alien running around attacking young women. There's multiple attacks similar to what I had described. Not always did he spit flame. He always jumped away. They don't always describe him with like the steel clawed hands that he had. Sometimes they just said he had cold, clammy hands. But I mean, if the guy's attacking you, probably wouldn't be paying too much attention to like his manicure, right? Now, this, I don't know if I think it's a cryptid type thing. For a while, I did, whenever I first heard the story, I automatically pictured that it was some sort of alien bunny type thing. But highly unlikely. Next category, phantom attackers. Basically, like a regular paranormal event where there's like a ghost or something, except it attacks you. That this was somehow a demon or spirit type thing that was reenacting a violent attacks. Maybe the ghost of, what's that guy's name? Murdered a bunch of chicks who were hookers, and his name also had Jack in it. Stabby Jack, Pokey Jack, oh yeah, Jack the Ripper. That guy. Maybe he came back. Actually, I don't think that Jack the Ripper as a ghost reincarnated and doing this stuff has been put forth as a theory. So I nominate myself for original idea. I don't buy that one either. The ones that I do lean a little bit more towards. For a while, I was very much under the umbrella of this was mass hysteria. That it was a very boring time in the late 1800s. It happened roughly, I think, between the 1836 to 1838, and that people just had, there were regular attacks by regular criminal jerks who they embellished a couple times, and then people started actually having hallucinations whenever they saw an attack. That instead of it being, oh, this is my neighbor attacking a young woman, it's like, it's this monster. He's clearly from, like, I don't know, Scotland or something. He's not from around here doing weird stuff. That makes a little bit more sense, because it's sad that this is how people lived back in the day. Now, finally, the one that, while sort of disappointing that it might not be paranormal, I do find more interesting. Basically, there's a theory that this was a hoax perpetrated by a bunch of rich kids that were in fact dressing weird and attacking women for sure. And then they were doing all this other weird stuff that people embellished when they had the story. Now, see, the riding helmet thing is what kind of gave it away. If you ever seen somebody who's like riding a horse in one of those red jackets and white pants, or like for the sport of riding horses, they have these pretty big black helmets that are kind of weird looking. It would make sense if somebody's jumping around, right? But that also means that back in the day, they probably had money if they had access to the cap, or at least worked for somebody who did. The weird tight-fitting oilskin thing. An oilskin is like picture Gordon's Fisherman, that yellow thing he has, but white and tighter fitting. And I could see that resembling there's a like kind of the shirt that they wear from the guys from India, Like it's a traditional clothing. It looks sort of like that, but tighter fitting would make sense to me. And they might have had access to one of those Indian shirts if they had a butler or something from India, which late 1800s England definitely would have had if you were a rich person. Don't look into that history. It's horrifying. And then the whole breathing flame thing, that could have just, there were people who, you know, the same way there's fire breathers today, they get something that has a fire at the end of it, like a little stick. They put a chemical in their mouth, usually alcohol or some other chemical. I don't know how fire breathing works. Then they spit on the stick and a flame shoots out. So maybe they got the clever idea, like maybe using actual really bad chemicals because nobody knew what poisoned you back in the day. Spitting out flame. It's like, oh, it's white blue. Now I'm going to jump off like a jerk because I'm rich and this is how I can live my life. I find that pretty interesting, but it also means that he's pretty much evil Batman. Also, if it was kind of like a bunch of people, that would make a lot more sense. You know, each one added their own little twist. One guy decided, I'm going to wear middle claws. Another guy's like, oh, I've got liver damage, so my eyes are like red and yellow or something. Makes a lot of sense to me. And there was some that actually fit with how some people in the time thought they could get away with kinds of crazy things. If you ever heard of the phrase, paint the town red, there was this rich royal in England. I forget which era he lived in, but he literally painted a town red. He was just for fun. It was like a prank. I'm assuming he hired people in the middle of the night, ran through the whole town, painted everything red just because he's a crazy jerk. He is evil Batman. So yeah, those are my thoughts on it. I hope you enjoyed the stories. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on it. If you want to hear more of this, see more of it, please let us know. Like, share, subscribe like you do. Love you.